Right. Where are we? All right. Yeah, good. Look, good evening. This is good. I've seen similar crowds in here before, similar sized crowds in here before. When I first got elected in 2014, I had a meeting here in the November. I think I got into trouble. Well, I say I got into trouble. I had spies sent by the former chief executive, Mary Hartley. Don't know what happened to her. I do know what happened to her, but it's good to. It's always good to do things on my home ground. And welcome to Isleworth Spring Grove Ward. Welcome to West Thames College, the finest college in Isleworth. Yeah. But it is one of the best in London, and it's yeah. If you believe Ofsted, which in this case we do. We think it's really we think it's great, and it's got a real diverse curriculum, and yeah, send your children. I was going to say send your grandchildren here, but send your recommend it. Get them to come down. Come and have your hair done as well, if you like. I'm Tony Lukey. I'm chair of the Isleworth and Brentford Aera Partnership Forum. It's like that sometimes, the forum. To my right is Councillor Dan Bowring, Councillor for Sion and Brentford Lock. He's going to give us a bit of housekeeping advice.
Yes, sorry, we've got a really long list of housekeeping to go through, so apologies in advance. The toilet's over there, and we're not expecting any alarms.
There you go. Oh, watch it, it's a Ros. Yeah. Don't be shy. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed the. I hope you enjoyed the marketplace downstairs. Always good to see people that do things in the borough turning up and talking to the likes of councillors and yourselves. Shall we start off then? Any apologies for absence, Kay? No. I think we're all sorry. Councillor Dunn.
Councillor Sarai.
Okay, apologies from Councillor Sarai. Thank you. Any declarations of interest from any councillors here on any items on the agenda, apart from things that we're working on in item 7, the action plan? Anybody? No? Good. Thank you. Right. Well, let's start off with item 2 on the agenda: local policing and community safety update. We've got Sergeant Jim Cope, and we've from the Isleworth Spring Grove ward. He covers a number of wards, but we claim him in Isleworth Spring Grove ward, and Fazana Wangday from London Borough of Hounslow Community Safety Team. If there's any, just a couple of highlights, if you like, on your report. We've got the report on there, and then we'll throw it open to questions from residents. Who's handling the mic tonight? Okay, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Matt. Okay, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, Sergeant Jim Cope, primarily Isleworth and Spring Grove, but also carry on with a number of awards over to the Chiswick area. So some positives from us at the moment in time. We've obviously been doing some regular resident engagements regarding local concerns that have been focused on the ward priorities. Officers from Isleworth have carried out some weapon sweeps in Ivy Bridge. There's been some regular patrols through the problem areas, a lot of partnership work with the housing officers regarding problem addresses. There's been a large quantity of drug seizure from Reedless Park. They've held a walk and talk in Reedless Park back in October, and there's been numerous coffee with coppers. In terms of movement, we've got in Isleworth currently you have PC Ross McTeer and Gabir. Over in Sine and Brentford Lock, we have Ben Wheatcroft, and good news is that we're receiving a new PCSO who's going to start with us on the 8th of May. Over in Osterley, you've got PC Jess Horton and also John Davis Gay. Brentford is our, some good news in Brentford. We've got PCSO Victoria, who's looking after Brentford West, and we have our stalwart Angela Mazzai, who's looking after Brentford East. And even though we unfortunately lost PC Dan Angelina to Hampshire Police, we are receiving a new PC for both the Brentford wards, PC Amin Gill, who will be joining us on the 8th. Also, in terms of SLT, there's been a new superintendent dedicated to neighbourhoods, Superintendent Anil Puri. And of this week, we've also been assigned Chief Inspector Berinda Gill. And once again, they're all being focused onto the neighbourhood sectors.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions on this or any other police issues that you want to, anybody from the audience wishes to put your hand up? Yeah. Mr. Reeson, and then we've got Steph Collis as well later.
Right. Yeah, just a question really about the staffing levels. Thank you, Jim, for the updates there. From the sound of it, we're running about 2/3 of the minimum staffing on the wards. Minimum staffing, I understand, is supposed to be 2 PCs, 1 PCSO, and I don't think we're there at all. And this was one of the issues highlighted in the KC review, and one of the ambitions that's stated by the turnaround plan. What can be done to speed up getting the minimum number that we need in our neighbourhood teams? Is there anything that our councillors or others here can be doing to highlight our need for the basic minimum level of staffing?
I think obviously with the Commissioner's turnaround plan, he's clearly sort of nailed his colours to the mast in terms of what his intention is for Safer Neighbourhoods team, and quite rightly he's put it up there at the very beginning. But obviously he wishes to rebuild the trust and confidence that we need to do so within our communities, and obviously he's decided that the first place that it needs to be is on our response team. Now, he's taken officers off S&T to the ERPTs, the response teams, which will then, when we have new recruits joining, they are going to be going straight to the response team, which will then naturally have an overflow from the response team to S&T. So this isn't going to be a quick fix. Obviously, with the fact that we've got a new superintendent and a new chief inspector arriving this week, it's clearly a top-down approach. They're putting in the infrastructure and the SLT, the senior leadership team, above to facilitate an increase in officers and staff on the front line. As I say, I can't tell you a timeline for this, but please keep on. I would suggest if you meet any SLT, just express obviously the importance of our officers who are out there, such as Naya and Gabir, who are doing additional work other than on their wards. Naya's very kindly come here from Heston to support us this evening. And unfortunately, this is what we're having to do a lot more of in terms of flexing our officers from other wards to support Gabir and myself at these events. But things are going to get better, definitely. It will do, but just bear with us. The officers and staff are doing their very best every day.
Yeah, thank you. I suppose it doesn't help when you've got a whole load of coppers running behind the Prime Minister's Land Rover down Whitehall, and riding bikes and shouting at people. But we always support our local police, and we always support an increase. When I got elected in 2014 in Knossley and Spring Grove Ward, there were 6 coppers on the team. Now we're lucky if we get 2. Right, Steph Collis.
I just wondered whether catalytic converters are still popular items for theft in the area.
Thank you, Steph. Fortunately, we've actually had a decrease in catalytic converter theft. I think there's been a number of large-scale central operations that have sort of targeted the organised criminal networks that are involved in this type of criminal offence. So overall, certainly in Osterley, there's certainly been a decrease. Not to say that it still occurs, but at the levels of which we saw on a previous couple of area forums ago, when it was quite bad along the A4 corridor, there's been a reduction. Watch out for, on OWL or Twitter, for a catalytic converter marking event that we're planning in the back end of May. We're still just waiting for the date. I think it may be the 25th of May. So we will certainly be advertising that once we've confirmed with the people who are going to do it. So if you've got a catalytic converter on your vehicle, please come down. But watch out for advertising. Thank you, Steph.
Please share that with your local contacts, with us as soon as you can, with the councillors, with London Borough of Hounslow Community Safety Team. We'll put something out. As you know, that is quite a high priority in Osterley and Spring Grove Ward, if not everywhere else. Thank you. Councillor Sampson, did you have a question for the police?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Tony. Chair, sorry. Sergeant Cope, can you tell me, you mentioned earlier on that you're working on the Ivy Bridge estate with housing officers and with problem properties and so on. Can you tell me, are you doing any work with the council's ASB team in relation to these properties or other properties throughout the borough?
Yes. The local ASB team, we do ask for support because obviously we're having to request support from the LBH team, the ABH team, and the neighbourhood tasking team, because obviously at the moment it's just Kabir on the board at the moment because Ross is at university, because obviously he's got a learning journey. So we are utilising as many partners internally and externally as we can to challenge any problem that we may have.
Did I see any other hands up there? Sorry, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Sergeant Cope. As you obviously are aware, and I think most people are probably aware, that we had the unfortunate murder in Brentford Gardens. Obviously aware it's a fast-moving, developing situation, but I'm wondering if there's any sort of update you can provide tonight on this.
Yeah, yesterday morning at around about 5:15, there was an incident in Brentwood Gardens where, there's been obviously a very sad death of a male at that location. It's being investigated by Central Specialist Units at this moment in time. I did ask our media comms before I arrived here and for the latest press release. But at the moment, there's been 10 people arrested in connection with that murder. And obviously it's an ongoing live investigation, and obviously if anyone has got any information in relation to that, then please contact us either on 101 or speak to us after the event. But at the moment it's a live investigation. There's no more news in terms of where it's gone or the full circumstances of what's happened.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That it? Okay, look, thanks very much. You can stay if you like. But I know you've got other things to do as well, if you're still on shift. Next item is item 3, the open forum. Now, some people have sent questions in already, and I can read them out. And we've got some responses. If I know who might be able to answer these questions, I will. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. I will. If there are councillors that are able to answer these questions, I will pass them on. But if not, if an officer can answer the question, great. And if not, the question will be responded to after the meeting. If you don't get anything within the next 5 working days, get in touch with us. Get in touch with me via Kay, if you like. My responsibility as chair. Right, question 1. Shall I read these out? It's question 1, subject derelict toilet at St John's Gardens. Shall I read this out, Christine Darwell? Yeah, okay, all right, I've got it, okay. All right, while welcoming possible action on this, please explain why corporate property has now been requested to conduct a structural survey, commission a feasibility study to convert to a coffee kiosk. A 2020 survey indicated over £10,000 cost to fully refurbish, and due to its condition, it was listed for demolition and handed over to Asset Management, Hounslow Council Asset Management. Its condition has considerably deteriorated since, and a health hazard caused by a massive pigeon roosting inside. At this present time, the Parks team recommendation during the Borough Asset Review is the building be demolished. Right, did we get an answer on this?
Chair, I'm happy to give an answer.
All right. Councillor Samson, that's one of your projects, actually, part of your one of projects. If you briefly, thanks.
Yeah, no, I did respond, Chair, but it's just to say that there was it was looked at back then, but we've since had an inquiry from a member of the public. He's since retired, and he saw that the derelict building that was used in Feltham as the same sort of thing, like an outside toilet, had actually been transformed into a coffee kiosk, and he asked if he was able to do the same thing with the one in St John's Gardens. So, and I thought, yep, that's a great initiative. All Isleworth councillors supported it because, you know, we want to try and preserve what's there instead of demolish. And so now we've progressed to try and find out if it is actually feasible, if the building is structurally sound, in order to take this project forward, which we fully support.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
On the 31st of March, I was told that the Parks team were recommending that it be demolished. So how come it's been overturned between then and now? It just doesn't make sense to me that if you knew 3 years ago it was going to cost you at least over £10,000 to even make it, usable. Now you must, to put it to a coffee kiosk, you'd be talking £25,000. The answer that I got to a stage 2 complaint about that building told me that there would be consultation with St John's Residents Association and that the teams recommended that it be demolished. But it seems to me that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing if you can have turned that over in that short amount of time.
Okay, Councillor Samson, briefly.
The right hand does know what the left hand's doing, Christine. Parks advised that the property was not, suitable for them to use in its current format, which is understandable. So there are different initiatives at play to look at what that can be done with that. now, all because a resident of the area has come forward who's quite happy to invest part of his own money into making this viable, and we're looking at it, and that's what we're going to continue to do, support the resident.
Okay, thank you. Next question is subject, protocol for speakers at IBAF. I'm not too sure if I understand this correctly, but please explain. On whose authority and why has this been changed to be more restrictive to apply to the current meeting and most but not all area forums? I've got no understanding of this. Perhaps Christine, have you got? Are you able to elaborate for me, please?
The protocol for speakers has always been fairly wide in the past. After all, the whole ethos of these meetings is that they should provide for the residents to be able to speak to you. But this time at IBAF, we've got a protocol for speakers on your second page, with 3 restrictions on telling people that, you know, if they want to talk about transport, that they're only allowed to talk for 5 minutes. Highway matters, again, you know, it is restrictive. Other area forums seem to have had it put in, but Heston and Cranford don't seem to have to abide by this. It just struck me as a strange thing, because it seems really contrary to your terms of reference.
I understand, but if I'm looking at the list of questions today, there's about 20. I've never really set the timer on anybody when they're answering questions. I do encourage people to be brief when they're speaking, and that doesn't just count. That doesn't include that's not for residents. In fact, more so for councillors sometimes. So if you know whatever we can do to get the questions over and the answers back, we will do that. And if it takes 6 minutes, 10 minutes, so be it. But if people can be focused when they're asking questions, not a problem. I know we had a little bit of an issue the last meeting, the last IBAF of the municipal year, which we tried something out. That we know that didn't really work. I can't remember who suggested that, but we do it. You know. We've never stopped anybody from talking. So if that's okay, or asking questions, if that's okay, let's see how it works today, and then we'll continue with this in this vein in the next municipal year, if that's okay. Mike?
You're telling me, it seems to me you're telling me you didn't know that the protocol had changed, which I think is quite enlightening.
You know me, how I wing it sometimes, Christine. Next one, subject, open forum minutes of IBAF 24th of the 11th, 2022. What was the decision following the submission of the petition requesting CCTV introduction in Church Street, Isleworth? It's on the petition. It's on the agenda for the petition this evening. So we'll get a response on that. I can't remember who. Was that one of yours, Christine, or was that was St John's Residents Association? I think that's from Mr. West. He's not here at the moment. Sorry. Okay. All right. It came from Church Street. Okay. And the response is, do you want to read that out, Councillor Shaheen? Councillor Stroud?
Yeah, I mean, we can read that out now if you want. As you mentioned, of course, it's later. Yes.
Sorry, is there anybody here from Church Street? Are there any petitioners here? Is there a lead petitioner here? You might as well do it now then, if that's okay.
Sure. I mean, so the last time we spoke about this, the petition was submitted and ward councillors were asked for their opinions. all three of us supported this petition, and we would like to see action taken on this. The council's response was, well, let's think about it. So they've said, officers have come back and said, the concerns of residents are noted. Police data has been requested for the area to assess the level of crime that is taking place, and an assessment of the area has been undertaken for the feasibility of installing CCTV cameras on Church Road, whatever. It's Church Street. It says Church Road here, but it's incorrect. It is meant to be Church Street, Isleworth. CCTV cameras are usually mounted on modern lamp columns that are sufficiently robust to withstand their weight and to deal with the associated wiring and socket needed to operate the cameras. In the area question, there are the old Victorian lamp columns in place which are not suitable to be used for this purpose, and no radio network connectivity to the CCTV control room. To address these issues, a new CCTV column would need to be installed and a new fibre connection provided, which could cost over £35,000. Officers will continue to explore the provision of CCTV for the area, and we will be using this data for this. It should be noted, however, that there are challenges around it, not least the funding required. So that's the response that we got to the petition that we supported.
Okay, so it's kind of ongoing. I know that the ward councils will keep an eye on this because they're good ward councillors. Next one was, what was the reply to the Brentford Voice question seeking to know how the council intend to increase green spaces from 38% to 45%, given the intention to build on 3 greenbelt sites?
I can take that, Tony.
Go on then, put your mic on.
Well, thank you. It is a very important question. I would say it is slightly out of date. If you've been watching, and I don't blame you if anyone didn't, the Cabinet meeting the other day, the local plan review in question has been technically withdrawn, and elements of it are going to be reconsidered. I think it's very important that this, given the changing circumstances in terms of the housing provision, the job provision, and the needs of the borough and of London as a whole, have moved on. Things have moved on since the local plan was first submitted for review, and this will give residents another chance to have their say. And Tom Bruce, who's been spearheading this, said at Cabinet that this really is another chance for a listening exercise. Of course, there were many concerns around the local plan review, and I think there's another chance for residents to have their say. So I will answer the specific question, but I just wanted to say that this is a live issue, and that local plan review, as of the Cabinet meeting the other day, is now being taken back, and it will be resubmitted to the Planning Inspectorate. So there isn't any pressing moment in which we're going to start building on green belt land. That's not on the table right now. Let's see where this process goes. However, what I can confirm is that the target that we have set ourselves, a very ambitious target we've set ourselves within the green and blue infrastructure strategy, is for a net increase from 38% green infrastructure to 45% green infrastructure over the course of this administration. It is net. So anything lost in development will be compensated elsewhere to increase that target. So we can't. We want to go from 38% currently to 45%. At the end of this process, we want to see ourselves get to 45%. Papers detailing the exact methods in which this will be deployed will be forthcoming, and I'm very happy to speak to them at that time. This will involve looking at how specifically the methods by which we will look to increase our green infrastructure, our green cover, to 45%. And I really do look forward to talking about that when we're in a position to reveal that. We are working on it at the moment.
All right, thank you, Councillor Shaheen. Another one, subject, presentation by Cindy Gardner, IBAF at 24th of the 11th, 22, introducing ward improvement officers and environmental champions. The minutes of this item indicate a whole borough approach without boundaries had been taken. Ward improvement teams would monitor services and find solutions to local problems. Teams responsible for environmental monitoring would be merged across services, household highway, street cleaning, waste and recycling, etc. And there were plans to introduce environmental walkabouts with officers. 1, are ward improvement officers already operational? 2 requests to the Isleworth ward improvement officer dating from the beginning of March have met with acknowledgement but no action. 2, please, can I just read this out without interruptions? How is it envisaged the monitoring merge will be achieved given the various different reporting streams? 3, when is it planned for walkabouts with officers to commence? I can't remember who's the lead officer. Guy, might you remember this, or anybody else on this? Oh, well, we've got an officer answering, but that's okay. I approve of that. Sabile.
Thank you, Chair. Evening, everyone. My name is Sabile. I am the Head of Highways PFI. I primarily look after the Council's relationship with Hounslow Highways, but I can answer this question on behalf of my colleagues, because the ward improvement team don't sit under me, but they sit kind of across a couple of services because they also look after the Hounslow Highways contract as well. There's a later question from Barbara, which is quite similar, so I'm hoping this might cover that as well. First, ward improvement officers are council officers. Sorry, I know I'm not looking at you, Christine, so apologies. I'm too close. Ward improvement officers are council officers. They are employed by the authority to make sure that our front-facing services, Hounslow Highways, Recycle 360 and Green Space 360, are adhering to their contracts and contractual obligations, firstly, but secondly, to offer us an environmental engagement opportunity for residents. Okay, slightly different to network stewards that Hounslow Highways employ, who are effectively highways inspectors as well as environmental inspectors as well, looking at from their side of things as well. There are 7 of them, covering a minimum of 3 wards out of the 22. I have a full list. I'm not going to read it out in total, but I will email it to Kay to include in the minutes.
We had the presentation last time at Brentford Football Club.
Yes.
If you can maybe just advise, when's it planned for walkabouts with officers to commence? How's it envisaged monitoring merge will be achieved? But if you can just pick up on that stuff, and then we can get on. Thanks.
Understood. So environmental walkabouts haven't been planned yet, but I'm presuming they'll be planned over the next couple of months, likely in association with the wards walks that Tom Allen and his team do. But we've always said if residents want an environmental walkabout with us, or with Recycle 360, or with Hounslow Highways, we'll be more than happy to do so. In terms of the monitoring merge, that's already happened. So the team are already operational. Like I said, they're looking after the highway as well as waste and recycling issues as well. It's a benefit to the residents because they've got one port of call, and I'm hoping you had a chance to speak to Sharon downstairs. Sharon Ellis and Bruce Smith are the 2 officers for Isleworth and Brentford.
Okay, is that okay for the moment, everyone? Good, thank you. All right, go on. Barbara.
Is it on? Yeah, is Sharon Ellis here? Could she put her hand up? Who is she?
Sharon Ellis was downstairs. She had to leave, unfortunately. She's got a very long way home.
We would really like to meet our ward improvement officer.
We'll invite her to the Aera AGM, but otherwise we'll do it another time. Christine. Thank you, Nabila.
I'm a bit puzzled if it's already merged together, because as Sir Bill knows, I'm one of the lay assessors and so is Barbara, but we've never been informed about this merger and how it affects us as lay assessors, which, obviously we're part of the team, although we're volunteers. I'm a bit bemused.
Let's get. I'm a bit bemused with the work of the lay assessors, but I know they do good work. But we don't always hear about it, and sometimes we hear about things after the event that's been discussed with lay assessors as councillors. But that's not a problem as long as things get fixed in the borough, in our wards, on our streets, in our environment. Not a problem. Anybody, even if they don't work for the council, if they're not lay assessors, the more the merrier. I always recommend subscribe to Fix My Street to whoever I speak to. Councillor Guy Lambert, a couple of words, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see this question until just now. I I've been working on the issue of ward improvement teams for at least a year. It's very important to me because the issue with the way that we dealt with stuff in terms of tidying wards, for want of a better word, was there were too many people involved. Some of them were enforcement people, some of them were Hounslow Highways people, some of them were Hounslow environment people. And we're trying to bring that together to make someone responsible for all that goes on in a particular area. It's not easy to make that happen, and we haven't got thousands of people doing it. But we will make it work, and if you want me and other members of the team to come out with you and explain that and see how it's working, I'm more than happy to do that. Just give me an email.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Councillor Lambert. Yeah, following on from that, we've another question. To accord with these terms for the financial year just ended, please provide an update on how many walkabout, street inspections, reality checks with residents, local agencies, IBAF has organised to identify problems and issues. B, what discussions and resulting recommendations for local improvement projects has IBAF instigated for Section 106 funding, including those funded from Community Infrastructure Levy? 3, what priorities for area-based environmental improvement schemes has IBAF identified and sought appropriate funding? That was from Christine. Anybody here want to answer some of those? Dan Bowring, if you can.
Yeah, so on point A, how many walkabout, street inspections, reality checks, the residents, local... As far as I understand it, I know me and the other councillors in my we do that, I mean, every week, sometimes multiple times a week, out knocking on doors, talking to residents, meeting with groups. I've been out with officers from highways, transport, looking at issues, and I'm sure the same counts in other wards.
Okay. On B, discussions result in recommendations for local improvement projects as IBAF instigated. And we've got some on the action plan that's on the agenda, and that's kind of ongoing. And some of those have been, councillors have been speaking to officers leading to try and get resource for it. And you know, my project, we're talking with TfL as well, and meetings have taken place. So, but a lot of the Section 106 is kind of and the Community Infrastructure Levy. Well, Section 106 is site specific. Community Infrastructure Levy is what helps fund the Thriving Communities Fund. So, and those are open for anybody to apply for. Any organisations and community organisations, residents groups are able to do that. But in terms of detail, we can find that detail, see if we can research that. Not see if we can. We will look for that within through our finance department, if that's okay. Christine, is that all right? All right, of course. That's all right. That's all right.
Well, I just find it extremely odd that in your terms of reference, the responsibilities for you councillors state that you will discuss these. I would have thought it was automatic that we, the residents, should have an end-of-year report on what you've done to fulfil your responsibilities that come under your terms of reference. I mean, we've had one councillor answer saying what he's done, but, you know, you really do need to have an end-of-year report so that we can mark you 10 out of 10 or 0 out of 10, if you like.
Okay, yeah, look, there you go, fair enough. Look, even more than a ripple of applause. Not a problem. I'm happy, as chair, I'm happy to instigate an end-of-year report or a review of what IBAF has done. For this municipal year. Sue, Sorry? Yeah, we'll get, yeah, that'll be for the coming year, because we haven't finished the year yet, have we? Sue,
So,
briefly.
Chair, sorry, I'm just a bit confused because are we talking about the terms of reference for IBAF or us as councillors? Because for us as councillors, we do an awful lot. And I can speak from a housing perspective where all the councillors throughout every ward in the borough is invited to the estate inspections with the estate improvement officers, and that's on a weekly basis. And that's right throughout the borough. And they're going there literally every week, and they're ongoing. So it's not like it's just when they're finished, that's it for the year, they start again. So it's probably roughly about, for each one, there's roughly 4 visits per year, per estate, per street, with each of the estate improvement officers. So, you know, that's logged, but that wouldn't necessarily be logged here at IBAF, but that's certainly logged as councillors, you know, along with our casework and everything like that. So, you know,
sorry, Christine, sorry. Look, I think what's being driven here is the terms of reference for IBAF. So if we can look at for the area forum. So if we can look at that, I'm happy to work with that. And also with, if any, I will seek contributions from ward councillors as well, if they want to contribute to it as an appendix of what they may have done. But that's another terms of reference, if you like, for councillors. But we can include in that things that we've done, things that have taken place in the ward as well. These walkabouts and similar. I'll leave that one there because let's press on. Okay. Right, next question. Subject, Lime e-bikes. What discussions are taking place with Lime to prevent hire bikes being used illegally and being dumped indiscriminately across the borough? Many of these are being left on their sides, causing a hazard to pedestrians. Councillor Catherine Dunn, I think.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so we are in discussions with Lime and in fact other e-bike operators with the intention of signing a memorandum of understanding with the e-bike operators. This would see us introduce individual parking areas for the bikes across the borough, which would mean that users who use the bikes within the borough would have to park them within these designated parking bays, parking areas, and if they left them outside of those, then that would count as not properly parking. So generally when you use these bikes, you have to produce evidence, usually a photo or something that you've parked the bike responsibly in order to finish your ride. And so users who don't do that would then either be fined or not able to use the bikes anymore, depending on the what's written into the contract. But we want to sign a strong contract / memorandum of understanding with the bike operators to make sure that there are strong things in place. So if a user were to use a bike and leave it somewhere else, then it would be on the operator to come and remove that, and there would of course then be penalties for them if they didn't do that. These are issues that we're looking at also with London Council's Transport and Environment Committee, and that we're working on there's a draft of this MOU that will be used across London in order to have similar rules throughout, because obviously at the moment some boroughs are doing it better than others. Some, like Hounslow, don't have schemes operating officially within the borough, but do have operators like Lime who allow the bikes to be used in the borough, but without that contract in place. So that's what we're looking to rectify.
Okay, thank you. Questioner is not here, so let's move on to his next question. I was going to say it's Freudian slip. That's from Dominic West, St John's Residents Association. Second one, subject, Twickenham Road cycle lane. Why was a proposed extension to the Twickenham Road cycle lane from Linkfield Road to the borough boundary with Richmond approved by a chief officer decision in January when the response rate was only 8%? It was acknowledged that the consultation had been poor and that the majority of respondents, including Councillor Shaheen, opposed it. Why were Councillor Shaheen's objections not recorded, and can it be agreed that in future decisions on projects such as this should be made by the Area Forum as they were in the past? So another one for you, Councillor Dunn.
Thanks. Yeah, so the decision was made because it furthers our transport objectives as a council to encourage walking and cycling. It's obviously acknowledged that some councillors did have objections to it, as did some members of the public. We try to take on board objections where we can through consultation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that projects won't go ahead.
Okay. Do I need to? I'll read this out. This one's from Barbara. We've had the. Are you happy with the response on the ward improvement officers, Barbara? Okay, good. Thank you. 2. Feedback from 24th November 2022 IBAF. What was the feedback from the 24th November 2022 IBAF? A questionnaire was circulated, which some of those attended completed online, but a copy of their responses was not automatically sent to them. What subjects were suggested for inclusion at future IBAFs? One of our residents suggested transport and traffic and a number of other topics. Please include a short presentation on the feedback to that questionnaire at the IBAF meeting on the 27th of April 2023. I suppose it's down to me as chair. I haven't got anything prepared. I've got this. Right, we'll have to come. Right, we'll have to come back to you on that. I'm very sorry. By the time that came, it was too late to get a presentation together. But we will get one together, as we will with this. With any, I see. Are they questions from or comments from residents there? Yeah, all right. Well, let's get them looked at quickly. And recorded, so we don't have to work from meeting to meeting on these things. Barbara.
Yes, could a summary of the responses be included in the minutes of this meeting, please? From the questionnaire from the 24th of November. And to this one, if possible, but because presumably the responses trickle in, but certainly if we can have the responses from that meeting. I will meet with
officers after this meeting, not tonight, but we'll meet with officers after this meeting for a debrief, and that will be Kay's making a note to put that on the agenda for my and Councillor Bowring's meeting with officers after this meeting, and let's get this streamlined. We can't keep moving from one meeting to the next without anything concretely written. That would be good if that's noted by people, Elliot, who manage this process. Thanks. Right. Next one, follow-up meeting on transport, traffic and parking on the 23rd of November 2022. A number of representatives of residents' associations in Isleworth, Brentford and Chiswick had a meeting with and initiated by Eleanor Walker, LBH Communications Lead, Cycleway 9, to look at various issues in our area relating to transport, traffic and parking. We are still waiting for feedback and actions resulting from that meeting. Is this another example of engagement that doesn't produce results and is then quietly dropped by the council? Sorry, Councillor Dunn, your transport. Are you able to respond to this?
I'm afraid I don't know anything about that particular meeting or anything emerging from it, but obviously I'm very happy to find out and make sure that it gets fed back and that something does happen.
Okay, that'll be good. I've got some notes here, but I think we ought to get it formally responded to the people that were there, and also any councillors that would be interested. Barbara, sorry.
Sorry, I submitted this question on Monday. It's now Thursday. Why hasn't a response been prepared?
I've got something here. I'm not going to read it all out because it's 3 pages. It's 3 sides in 9 point. Is that all right? I'll Matthew.
I presume that's a response from the person from Eleanor Walker, maybe, in which case, why haven't we received anything before now?
I don't know why.
But, sorry, but my question at the end, is this another example of engagement that doesn't produce results and is then quietly dropped by the council? We seem to have various meetings at various times, that we prepare for, we present out, we raise various issues,
yes.
And then nothing happens.
Yes. I'm not agreeing that it is another example. Matt, come down and get this and give it to Barbara, please. Well, don't laugh. It's serious business. Oh, thank you, John. Oh, thank you, Mum. But we'll get we'll ask Kay to get back to the officers so they can feed this back properly to all the others. How many people attended that event? About 8 of you. Okay, so let's get this sent to stakeholders. What's the point of talking to people if you're not going to give them replies? All right, thanks. Right, this one, Brentford Marketplace. What's happening to Brentford Marketplace? Is it just going to stand underused and almost empty at the whim of whomever decides not to open the Verdict Cafe? This is the heart of Brentford. And its uncertain future undermines the creation of a vibrant new town centre. Anyone know what's happening with Brentford Marketplace? Councillor Dunn.
So, as people know, when they're talking about Brentford Marketplace, I think it means the part in front of Verdict. I think that's what's being referred to here, as in the part that's under private ownership. Rather than the part that's used for the market and is under the council's ownership. So obviously that limits what we can do, but we do continue to work with people who do want to put on events there and provide support and funding for activities across both those spaces. We recognise that it's a centre point, a focal point for the town, and therefore is really important. It's important for driving footfall to the town centre, and we want to enable activities to be held there to create and support Brentford as a thriving place. So the town centre vision delivery plans are going to Cabinet in June. And part of this is to propose more regular funding so that we can have events and things there more often.
Okay, thanks. Is that all right, Mr. Dale? Can you just explain? Sorry, microphone from the fella in the front there with the beard.
Thanks for that reply. Can you just explain whether you can increase your powers or how limited your powers are over that space, and whether, in fact, whoever owns it decides not to do anything, it will just stand underused and almost empty?
The owner obviously has rights to decide how it's used, but it is to be used for, is public space, despite being in private ownership. So, we need to engage with the owners to make sure that it is being used as much as possible for public activities. That may be soft power rather than, hard powers, but we'll use what we can.
Do we know who the owner is?
Oh, sorry. So I understand it's the same freeholder as who owns the Verdict and the Magistrates' Court building.
Right, another question. Subject, shortcut from Church Walk to Brentford Station. Will the council push for a shortcut from Church Walk to Brentford Station? To the layman at least, it looks like minor construction work which would greatly magnify the benefits from to the new Brentford Lock footbridge. It's Councillor Dunn again, probably, if that's all right, your transport lead.
Will we? Yes, we will. Again, how far we'll get, I don't know. So the feedback I've had from Transport Department is that South West Railway and Network Rail are usually opposed to creating additional access points to platforms. However, we will take up that engagement with them.
Good. All right, no supplementary. Excellent. Subject, Brentford Dock. What's the latest situation regarding the gating and fencing of Brentford Dock? Oh, I don't know. Councillor Dunn.
Thanks.
All right.
So people will be aware that the immediate Article 4 direction, following consultation and legal advice, it was decided to withdraw that immediate Article 4 direction, which would have prevented further gating on Brentford Dock. The council's position remains that the public should have the right to access the riverside, and in that vein we are continuing dialogue with Brentford Dock Limited, and we'll also have conversations with the wider Brentford community to try to come to a positive resolution which seeks to allow access to the public, for the public, to the riverside, and also address any concerns from residents on Brentford Dock.
Thank you.
Does the public have access to Brentford Dock at the moment?
Well, there are... yes, I mean, the public always has access to Brentford Dock. The waterfront. Well, there are gates that have been put up. My understanding is that those are not locked. Brentford Dock Limited, of course, maintain that it's private land and that they have the right to stop people walking there.
I'll allow you a second supplementary. It's usually only one, but I'll let you, Mr.
I mean, it's still not quite clear from your answer. Can someone walk through those gates if they're unlocked and walk along the waterfront? Is it their legal right, as far as the council's concerned?
I don't think I can give you a straightforward answer to that. I've given the answer that I can give.
Oh, all right. Ladies saying they are unlocked for sure sometimes. Oh, they are locked sometimes. Oh, sorry.
They are locked. Do you want the mic? Hi, yeah, they are locked sometimes. Several times I've been down there and not been able to access the waterfront. Several times.
Thank you.
I stopped going there. It's just such a shame.
And she stopped going there. It's such a shame. Okay, all right. No, thank you. Thank you for that interjection. Right, next one, Mr. Tony Fergins. The Emerging Brentford Master Plan, April 2023, has clause 1.57, retrofit first, to encourage repurposing buildings to limit carbon emissions, but then goes on to propose to do substantial retrofit on only one site and demolishing on 5 sites, from McDonald's to the medical centre. This joins other sites in Brentford town centre, such as Heidelberg and Morrison's, where the same demolish first approach is being taken. Can the council rethink this approach so as to take retrofit first seriously, limit carbon emissions, and take the climate emergency seriously in this master plan? I think that's one for you again, Councillor Dunn, your lead on climate change.
Okay, so retrofit first is right. That's how it should be. Obviously, that has to be considered and for every individual site. So, I mean, I'm not the expert on those individual sites and why retrofit was chosen for some and not others. So I think you're probably going to need a better answer than that from someone else.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Firkins, are you happy with that so far, or do you want to follow up with a... So, Reese, do you have any answers, though? I'm always happy to say something myself, you know me, but have you got anything to add to this of any use? Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your head. I don't know what's going on in my head sometimes. But, yes. Yeah, go on, give him the mic, give him his opportunity.
Thank you, Tony Firkins. This just joins with many other buildings that you're just demolishing all over Brentford without a concern for the emissions from all this new building. So you've got the Brentford project, you're going to demolish Morrison's, you're going to demolish the Heidelberg, you're going to demolish in Commerce Road, in the Ham, the Waterman's Centre, the Old Mini Timber Yard, the Sega building. Nowhere are you actually considering the climate and this retrofit first and the limiting carbon emissions. So please can you take this seriously and give me a serious response, and as you said, within 5 working days. Thanks.
Go on then, briefly.
Hi, Tony. As you know, there's a planning system, right? And we aren't demolishing anything. Developers, private developers who own land, bring forward applications. There is a plan, there is a London plan, there is a national planning policy framework that we have to operate within. Within that, we have our local plan, which we then put on for what we want to see developed and how things come forward. What this is talking about is a retrofit-first approach, which means people have to assess the potential for retrofit first, but retrofit isn't always possible. You know, the sites you've mentioned here, if you want to turn the McDonald's site in the future into housing, tell me how you turn that existing McDonald's thing into housing. It's probably not going to be possible, is it? What I object to from your question is that you're just doing what Greens across the country are doing, which is weaponising the environment. Hold on, I'm going to finish my point.
Sorry. Let's not have a pop at our audience, please.
Maybe if I'd finished my point, it would have made some sense.
Well, okay. If you can do it without reference to people's, Thank you, Reese. Sorry. I'm just careful of what. I'm trying to be careful of what. Councillor Bowring, have you got anything positive to add to this?
I think it's really great to be able to retrofit buildings that we can. We've got John Bush House just down the road, a great example of retrofitting. But when you talk about retrofitting, you also need to understand obsolescence. You know, some buildings, it's not practically possible, or it's not financially possible, and that can result, if we insist that buildings are retrofitted, that can result in buildings lying empty for. I mean, John Bush House was empty for about 10 years. That can end up with antisocial behaviour, the building's further deteriorated. I think one of the best examples of retrofitting is my estate. I live on the Worton estate in Isleworth, and there we're seeing a multi-million-pound programme that is doing external wall insulation on existing council property. So I think where we can, and the Heidelberg building as well, that was purpose-built for industrial purposes, and it would have cost an inordinate amount of money to be able to retrofit that into homes. So in the principle of retrofitting, I am completely with you, but I think it's not always possible. As Reece pointed out, we've got to work within the planning framework, and there's kind of a legal responsibility there as well.
Thank you. Look, I apologise, Reece. It's not. Let's kind of keep this straight and not mix the party politics in it. I know. We know him there. But let's just say that, okay? But happy to have your contribution there. Right, the next one. Triangular plot of land at Marlborough Road and Spur Road. My query concerns a triangular plot of land bounded by Marlborough Road on the south, Spur Road on the west, and Cyan Lane on the east. If I remember correctly, early last year there was an information leaflet from the council informing the residents in the area that the area would be cleaned up i.e. results of continuous fly tipping would be cleaned up, the trees and other wild growth would be cut back and tidied up, the dilapidated fence around the entire length of Cyan Lane would be replaced with a new one, and that the very uneven and dangerous pavement along Cyan Lane would be repaired. Indeed, some of the trees were removed and the undergrowth tidied up, and the fly tip garbage mostly removed. After that, it took many months before a gate was installed in the fence, presumably to allow access for maintenance, but then work stopped and no other activities have taken place since. So with spring coming, the entire area will once more be overgrown. The pavement is still a danger and in danger of crumbling more, and more fly tipping has also resumed. It never really stopped anyway. The fence is still a disgrace and held together with tie wraps. I haven't seen any activity there for the last 8 months or so. Questions: what are the council's further plans for the area? What is the time frame for these plans? What is going to be done about the fly tipping? Are there any plans for the ruin of a former power distribution station on the site? Can I pass that on to Timothy Hurley from Hounslow Highways, please?
Hello, everyone. So Cyan Lane was one of 3 improvement areas, the volunteer projects by Hounslow Highways to basically bring an amenity area back into some use. It was overgrown, and as has been said, there was a lot of littering and fly tipping, predominantly littering actually, possibly linked to the schools nearby. So we cleared out significant amounts of dead wood and vegetation, and also we improved the visibility display at the junction because that was overgrown as well. That was all completed, and then we've left it for essentially a good year to let it now settle down because we did remove so much from it. There is an ongoing issue with the fence. We have procured all the material for it, but there's an issue with the fence in terms of the retaining structure for the footway on the Cyan Lane side. So we're looking at an engineering solution for that because we can't really install the fence if there's nothing to put it into because the footway could break away. Footway is fit for purpose, but when we do it, we want to do it properly and make that last. There is no plan to replace the fence all the way along Cyan Lane and Spur Road. That was never part of the initiative that we had. There will in time be a plan to probably repaint, and we have replaced some of the panels there. To answer the questions, the plan for the area is actually to allow it to grow. It's too steep to allow any public access into it, and we did look at that. We looked at working with community groups on potentially putting in beehives or some school visits, but again, the gradient on it just makes it unfeasible. So we just want it to be a nice area, good for biodiversity, let everything grow. We are going back in May, so we've done the point about letting it settle. There's another topic later where we're bringing services in-house, and those teams are going to go in May to go in, remove litter vegetation again, allow it to flower up as we go into spring and the summer. The gate is for maintenance access. It was originally installed to encourage maybe community groups or local school children to go in, but like I said, it will now be for maintenance. Regarding the fly tipping and the littering, so once we got it ready and the fence done, we're then going to be engaging with the schools. We do want to explain to the schools what we've done, the importance of biodiversity and the bug hotels we put in there, and help them understand that it's an area to be proud of rather than overgrown. Just note when we were there, we also cut back essentially all of the trees to allow future maintenance. Regarding the power station, that isn't part of the council land. It is owned by SSC. I didn't understand it was disused, and we have no plans for that at present. We'll happily work with them if there's a chance of bringing that back into public use, but at the moment it's not part of our remit.
All right, thank you. Leo, you posed a question?
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent, okay. Christine's not your question, but go on.
Building, I have referred it to the conservation officer who's actually looking into it because he agrees with me at minimum it should be locally listed, but there are difficulties with SSE, so maybe we can liaise on that, but we've got our BDI on it.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's I know Councillor Bowring has spoken to you, Leo, This is something you can work on with together in the ward there, I would suggest. Finally, right, should the centenary of the opening of the Great West Road serve as a springboard for the environmental and economic rejuvenation of the Golden Mile and the surrounding area? And the answer is, from LBH, we would welcome the opportunity to work with residents and key partners on the Great West Road with the support of ward councillors to recognise this milestone. From an economic perspective, we have the Creative Enterprise Zone and work underway that brings together local partners, and from an environmental perspective, we have begun to develop plans on how we green the entire A4 corridor. And whilst in early development, we are keen to have early conversations with residents. We can then consider other projects and activities that can be brought together. We will need to ensure that we can identify suitable funding and resources to support any work. However, as a first step, we would welcome bringing interested residents and ward councillors together to discuss how we bring together our work and partners on this matter. This can be coordinated by our community development team with input from our regeneration and climate teams. Martin, this came from, yeah, any comments on that?
No, that's a good response. If you could action it as quickly as possible, that would be great.
Yeah, Martin asked if we could action it as quickly as possible. I know Councillor Williams and I have got two separate projects on the Great West Road and greening it, but we've also got some other some work going on there. I think Councillor Parazotto and Councillor Guy Lambert, we've all done that. We've last couple of years ago we had a meeting and a walk on the Great West Road from Chiswick up to Heston, and some ideas were developed from that. Hence the Great West Hedge and other greening that's being discussed. But as always, we've got those problems with those the pirates from Highways England who don't really talk to us or do things off their own bat with very little consultation. Any other councillors got anything to add?
No, I agree with you.
There you go. Well done. Yeah, Councillor Lambert.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important issue for Brentford, how the Great West Road develops. We've had a lot of false starts, such as Hyundai going to take over what used to be Alfa Laval and then changing their mind and leaving it derelict. There are still quite a lot of derelict properties up the Great West Road, and that it's very hard to see how we can resolve that, but it's very important that we try and do that. It's a passion of mine. I want to see the Golden Mile back looking golden rather than scummy as it is at the moment. In places it's fine, in other places it's not. We've got a big development going on, what used to be Sega, if that gets approved. We've got the dreaded electric filling station on Sunley Island, which is one of the particularly derelict bits of the Great West Road. We need to keep pushing away at that and try. I made the remark to colleagues the other day. I first came to Brentford to work for Honeywell, when Honeywell are on the corner of Boston Manor Road and the A4, and you couldn't get in the car park. I was responsible for the car park, and people were always complaining, you can't park there. If you go there now, there's 3 cars in a car park that would take, 300. So we're caught in, we've got a lot of buildings that are built for large offices, and large offices are not in fashion at the moment. So and it's not easy to find how to deal with that, because you need millions to to do anything about it. But you can be assured that, as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of other councillors, we think this is important. I've been doing some work in the last couple of weeks on the canal down from the Great West Road into Hounslow, Brentford Centre. And that there's private money in that. There's people from JC Deco's, people from Sky are all trying to help with that. As our canal trust.
All right, thank you.
So I hope we'll get some decent investments there. And one of the things they say is, oh, we can't get people to work on the Great West Road because the circulation is so poor. And if we improve the canal, it'll make it a lot better. There's more to be done, but we need to work on that.
All right, thank you, Guy. We can kayak to work. Barbara, briefly.
Sorry, can I ask a supplementary on that? Is there any news on what's happening with GSK? Because that's all gone very quiet.
It's quiet in my ears as well. I've heard a couple of rumours, but I have no facts.
All right, thanks. Look, that's it for open forum. It was very open, wide open. Thank you. Shall we move on to the next item? And I know they've been waiting patiently. We've got we've got Messrs. Hurley and Khan from Hounslow Highways. If you can be, I know if you can measure it and be brief on this, and we've got the presentation. It's a big screen behind us. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this from the back, but see if we can come up briefly. 5 minutes. Whistle through it. It's on the agenda. People have seen it.
That was the plan. I apologise. It does say short presentation. I missed the short, but I will get through this briefly. Those that know me, know when asked to do a presentation, I get very excited and do too many slides. But we can distribute this afterwards. So, where's the clicker? Thank you. Assuming that everybody knows who Hounslow Highways are, 25-year PFI, we've been here 10 years. In short, we're here to keep the streets clean and safe. And I appreciate that's not always an easy task. Moving on. So just to give you a bit of an update about your area and what we've done. So you can see here for 2022, we did 9 schemes. And we've got another 14 schemes in the 4 wards of IBAF for 2023. This is just the investment resurfacing schemes. There's also other smaller works that we're doing. On top of that was also 19 kilometres. So there's 19 kilometres of highway we would have agreed to take on under the council. These are the footway schemes that were done under that section in the last 2 years. Then moving on to pothole. And then on the pothole pledge as well, which was council funded schemes to improve specific roads in each ward. So there are another 7 schemes undertaken and completed there, and potentially a similar scheme on footways in the coming years. In short, we're paid to maintain the network to a certain condition. The condition at the start of the contract, which is M0 on that graph, was 4.5, which is not good. The condition now in year 10 is down to below 0.67. Basically, in a London-wide survey that they do for condition of roads in London, Hounslow has been top 2 for the last 4 or 5 years in a row. So what we can see is that independently is having an effect. On top of that, there's more schemes for signs and lines, which can be contentious, but just to give you an indication of in your area the schemes that we've done in the last year, and then again, coming up in May and June, we've got some more schemes that are planned. We work very closely with the traffic team in Hounslow, so this is just the schemes we know about. There could be some more coming through. C9 is coming to Brentford, so we finished 3A and 3B, which is on the Chiswick side. We're currently working on 3C, which goes from Kew Bridge Road to Waterman's Park. And then there is a 3D section, which essentially goes from Waterman's Park towards Ealing Road in Brentford. It's a big piece of work for us. It is contentious, and we also have to do it and whilst maintaining the traffic at the same time. You're really rushing me now, yeah? Yes. Routine safety inspections. So, we have the Fix My Street app, which the Chair has kindly mentioned. It is a great app for reporting things. But we do have our own ways of doing it. So we have 13 stewards and inspectors out in the network all the time, looking at Highways Act and environmental enforcement. And what you can see from that graph is basically 78% of all defects we identify, but the other 22% come from the residents. So we thank you for reporting them. We would hope that we'd identify 100%, but the reality is defects appear at different times because of weather. But it just give you an indication about how many defects have come through and how we get them identified. Moving on. So, Fix My Street, we've got all the inquiries coming through. It has been going up year on year, and again, that's a good thing. It's engagement from residents telling us that there's something they want us to look at. You can see it went up quite a bit in 2021. This is actually the COVID spike. As people were staying at home, they generally reported more. So actually, it's nothing alarming. It's all the data that we get through our systems. It's just telling us that, yeah, we had more, but it's kind of normalizing with 2020 levels as we go now. And this is to break down by wards. For your ward, how have you done in the last year or so in terms of reporting? You can see actually there's a very high, good reporting level within the 4 wards. You will note that we don't have this broken down by the new 22 ward basis. We're still reporting on the 20 wards, but it's all included. And just to give you a bit more detail on some of the issues, so cleansing is the big thing. We do highways, but 2/3 of everything we get is cleansing related, so litter and fly tipping and that kind of thing. It's important to people in the borough. As you walk out your door, it's something that you see. So it's not bad, again, that we get numbers reported through. It's important for us to understand where they're happening, where are the trends, rather than just deal with it in terms of clear it. What are we doing to make sure our regimes are right in terms of frequency and quality to get that right? And where are we working with the teams at the council, the enforcement teams, to try and change behaviours in those areas? So this is just to give you an indication as to what's coming through. You can see there has been a bit of a spike in graffiti, which I'm going to talk to in a little bit. But it's important for us to understand where they're happening. So we proactively try and change our regimes to get those inquiries down. Weeding is an issue currently. Done the right thing. We're not using chemicals, which is good for biodiversity, but it's a challenge. We have trialled pretty much everything out there to try and find an alternative to chemicals. Quite frankly, there isn't a silver bullet, but there are options. There are different tools and mechanisation that we can use to get there. It has been a learning curve for us. And again, open reporting, we're just saying, yep, you know, weeding inquiries have gone up in all the wards and in all of the borough quite significantly. That's good because it's people telling us that there's something to do. But again, what can we now do ahead of each year to try and address that weeding issue? Weeds are an issue for visibility, but they're also an issue for asset condition. If you leave them long enough, they will start to deteriorate the carriageways, the footways that have been invested in. So it's important for us in terms of a long-term strategy, as well as just clearing the weeds now that people are starting to see. Leafing, so we just finished the leafing season. We had that same learning curve on leafing over the last few years. I'm not going to say we nailed it, and we've had to kind of adjust as we go through it. But again, it's a very seasonal thing. It's easier to handle than weeds to an extent because they don't grow back. But you can see that we kind of normalised the number of inquiries that we're getting as the new regimes have seen some success. Graffiti is our big one. And for some of you here, you would have noticed it, but you can see on this graph, we got around 300 graffiti inquiries in year 1. We're now getting 300 a month, so we're getting close to 3,000 a year. Again, it's a good thing. It's people reporting through what they're seeing so that we can keep addressing it, but it is posing a challenge to us. So we've had to change how we deal with graffiti, if you keep going. Breakdown by ward for you, just so you can see where they're happening. Surprisingly, the majority of the graffiti that we're seeing being reported is actually in the east of the borough, which kind of includes Brentford and Isleworth. That isn't necessarily just because graffiti is increasing there. There is some issues with kind of gang-related graffiti going on, but actually what we have is some good residents who are telling us that there's an issue out there. So we're seeing a high level of reporting in these wards because people are telling us it's there. Just a bit more breakdown for you there. So you can see 32% of all graffiti-related inquiries that we got in the last 16 months or so came within IBAF area. So it's not a bad thing. If we know it's there, we can try and address it. So we don't worry that it's going up. It is a pressure, but it's good because then we can keep trying to make that area better. A key premise that we have, and this includes the lay assessors, is working with the community to tell us, you know, what you see. It's your area. You help us understand it. So it's good that we're getting it come through. In terms of how we address it, We are working with the police, we are identifying hotspots, but also what we're trying to do is divide and conquer. We're trying to make businesses more responsible for clearing their premises. We understand that residents can't always clear graffiti from their own property, but businesses need to take more responsibility. So working on strategies with businesses for essentially them to clear it. That is having some success. Moving on. We have a weeding plan, so there's more information on our website. It is going to be a challenge this year. We have brought in more mechanisation. I'm not going to say we cracked it, but I'm hoping that we're starting to stabilise on where we're getting to with weeds. Moving on. And then just a bit more information with leafing. This information is on our website as well. But we've gone to plan cleansing, mechanisation, clearing cars out of the way to try and get a swifter leaf clearance. We are bringing all of our grounds maintenance services in-house on the 1st of May, so this is good for us, it's good for you. It means we bring more permanent resource within our business, we bring more skill sets, and we bring more ability to kind of react and also plan what we do. So expect more from us from a media aspect, because we're bringing in people that have worked in the area for years, often live in the area, and actually are very proud of it. So bringing them within our family is going to be good in terms of improving the service. We also planted over 200 trees, new trees last year, on behalf of the council, 500 in total. We're going into summer and that's going to be a challenge, so we're looking for residents to help us with the tree watering programme. If there's a new tree outside your property, if you help us water it, that's great. There'll be all information on our website as we go through it and media releases. And just some additional things we did in the last year. Queen's Platinum Jubilee was big. We've got 42 street parties coming up in May and June across the borough, as residents want to celebrate the coronation and celebrate their place in their street and how they use it, which is good. We actually had around 90 for the Queen's Jubilee as well. And then just lastly on environmental strategy, just whizzing through it, essentially it's a big thing for us. Our industry is we produce a lot of carbon because of the nature of work we do, so we're constantly thinking about how we reduce our carbon input, how we recycle, how we reuse, and when we purchase new things, how we purchase something which essentially produces less emissions. That should be it.
Right, any questions from councillors first, please? Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, thanks for the presentation. You mentioned 22% of defects are reported by the public. How severe are they when they're reported? Do you have a breakdown of that at all?
It's a mix. Top of my head, I'd probably say less than 10% are what we call a Cat 1 and imminent hazard. It doesn't mean they don't need addressing. When it's reported through a website, if you say it's a hazard, we will react within the hour and we'll go out there. Please be conscious that these are people who would often, like right now, we're taken away from their homes to go and deal with that. But I'd say probably around half probably don't need actioning. There are things about interpretation and expectation, crack paving slabs, delamination, which is small removal of the road surface. But they're all valid in their own right in terms of resident things they need to be looked at.
Okay, and just to finish up, sorry. On the graphs that you showed, in Austin Spring Grove, you had the highest reporting on leaf fall and weeding. Is that because it's not being as prioritised as other areas, or are there more vigilant residents?
Some vigilant residents, and some of our lay assessors from that area. It's also it's a heavily treed area, so essentially you have shaded areas of weed growth, but also, especially in the leaf fall season, there's also a leaf fall. It's not about leaf fall from our trees; it's leaf fall from any tree. And in Oxley and Spring Grove, you do have a lot of private trees as well, either from private gardens or from parks. But again, it's good people reporting that they want something done where they live.
Any other councillors? Okay. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Sue. Sorry. I wrote your name down.
Sorry.
Sue first, then
Okay.
Councillor. Sue Sampson first, then Councillor Siddiqui.
Tim, just out of curiosity, on slide 18, you mention mechanic, weed rippers and billy goats. What is a billy goat?
Well, there's two forms. There's the one with four legs. The one we've got is essentially, imagine a lawnmower. What it does is suck up everything that's there. Big problem that we have is manual removal, so operatives sweeping things up, putting them in bags. It's demotivating, so if we can mechanise that clearance to make it not just quicker, but more productive for the employee, it really helps. So we've got those, we've got mechanical weed rippers this year.
Thank you. So, sorry, Councillor Aftab Siddiqui.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, I think, not a complaint, but compliment in terms of, we have reported a couple of things around Jersey Road, Penrith Avenue, and there were some long-standing issues with the potholes, and they've finally been done. So, thanks a lot for that. but there's a lot of work around Northumberland State and that area, and I'll pick that up separately because I think we need a little bit more attention on those areas. So thank you very much for the work you got doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one from me. We welcome the trees, obviously. Please don't rely on the website to inform neighbours about trees. And you need to write to neighbours 5 doors either side of a tree to say, we've planted a tree, please water it, this is what you need to do. You cannot rely on the website. And you cannot rely on people walking past saying, oh, there's a new tree, let's water it, because a lot of people don't even notice that there's a new tree. So if we can find a way of communicating, better communication, better direct communication, better micro communication with neighbours on trees, and I welcome the billy goats, and similar, but this, a lot of the reports that you get in Osley and Spring Grove is true. We have got a lot of trees there in that ward, but we need some good supervision of the people that are doing that. I know it's demotivating. It can be demotivating, but we need some good supervision. We need proper brooms. And we need some backup, and the same with the weeds as well. If we can find ways, sometimes you have in the past shut roads or restricted parking, put no parking up on one side of the street, and I know that because I've had my car towed away on one occasion, and I didn't notice it for a week. So you can imagine how much I paid for that. But if you can do more of that, more intensive work again, because it doesn't work, and and if you can identify also places where leaves settle. I mean, we 10, 20 years we put some certain we narrowed roads down by putting an extra curb within the next 6 inches away from the main curb, and the leaves settle in there. Woodlands Estates is a proper example, as is Wood Lane. So if we can find ways to redesign that or get thinner brooms to sweep this out, I'll get fed up with reporting it, and I know our residents get fed up with reporting it, lay assessors, residents, councillors, whoever. That's my little rant over, but I hope you've taken some notes, and I will point some out to you tomorrow, Sir Bill, when we go on our little walk. Right, residents, any hands up? Sorry, I didn't see your hand, Guy. Okay. Councillor Lambert.
Shrinking violet, nobody can see me. I just wanted to say something about fly tipping, because we've had some really good news on fly tipping across the borough. It's down 23% last year from the year before, and that is quite a big reduction. And we've done that. You might not have seen it where you are, but if you're in somewhere like Kingsley Road in Hounslow, or if you're in parts of Chiswick and other parts where it was very bad, it is no longer very bad. Kingsley Road is almost free of fly tipping. And the reason for that is we started something called the Special Waste Service, which is just 3 or 4 people who go and look in every bag, tries to find a culprit. If they find a culprit, they'll either warn them or they'll fire them, fine them. They might fire them as well. But a lot of fines, including somebody who we took for was about 4,000, who was a professional tipper. It's a big passion of mine. I want to get fly tipping right down. And our target was 25% for this. I'll lose words, sorry, because of a disease I had last year. 25% for this administration. We've done 23, and that I want to go 3 times as far as that, and get people to say there isn't that much fly tipping in Hounslow anymore. And we'll work together with Hounslow Highways and Sir Beale's team.
There you go. Thank you, Guy. Thank you very much. Right, who we got next? Keith, up the back there.
1, 2.
Hi there. I'm a resident on the Ham in Brentford, which is in Councillor Bowring's ward. There's obviously the Ballymore developments there, and us residents on the Ham are worried about the proposed 200 cars an hour that are going to come up our tiny, small, little thin road from the new Morrisons. So I'm representing my neighbours here, and I'm asking a question, which is, are Hounslow Highways involved in the planning of the changes to the junction at the Ham and Brentford High Street? When will these changes be implemented? And it's critical that the changes are carried out before the Morrison stores open, otherwise we fear chaos will ensue. Thank you.
Anyway, oh bloody hell. You got a response for that at all? Are you working on it? Are you doing the section 278 or whatever they're called?
We will be. I'm not aware of any current proposals. We will be consulted, but I can't give more of an update than that.
Can you get a response to Councillor Bowring so that he can pass it on to his constituent, please? Is that right?
Yeah. So I mean, so there's three sort of signalised junctions coming in outside the Ham, and that's sort of vital to deal with all the traffic that aggresses out of Morrisons. Morrisons are hoping to open June, July, and you don't know anything about it? We're not doing it? I mean...
Sorry, for me, it's just personally, we do have a lot of schemes. That one's not come across my radar. We probably are working on it. I just can't comment right now.
I'll check with our traffic and transport team. They do the commissioning of works like this. So I'll get an answer for you, if not tomorrow, early next week.
Thank you. Stephanie Collis and then John O'Brien.
Thank you very much for your very full and interesting report. Very reassuring, all the work that's being done, so thank you all. I just wondered, are there any plans, please, to restore Jersey Gardens to its former glory, please? It's looking really rather shabby at the moment, sadly.
That's not one. That's not done. That's not worked by Hounslow Highways. That's run by Koalo and Hounslow Parks, Lambton 360. Can we ever talk about that sometime? I mean, there are no plans at the moment. There are some. There's a lot of work going on in Jersey Gardens with volunteers, and if you've been down there recently, you've seen a lot of work. New trees planted, new fencing, the play equipment refurbished, renewed rather than replaced. Let's work together on that with the Friends of Jersey Gardens.
But sadly, the hedges look absolutely awful. When you pass by, you can't see all the other improvements on the other side.
Always happy to pick up on these things as ward casework between Councillor Chowdhury, Councillor Siddiqui, myself. They are good at responding, I would say. We'll take John O'Brien, then we'll take Andy Sir Brian.
There has been traffic chaos on Wimble Lane for about several months now because of scaffolding and temporary traffic lights. It is unacceptable. Someone should just take the scaffolding down and let the traffic flow. What's the plan for it? It's gone on too long.
That's not. No. Sorry. I know some answers to that. I did actually call Mr. John Seckham from Seckham's today. The story behind this is on the 6th of February. Somebody. I'm not going to say whether he was drunk or stoned, but with his mates just drove into exactly. He has been cautioned anyway. Drove into the corner there of the 200-year-old building. It had to be secured. The fella's waiting for his insurers to give him the go-ahead. He's met with them twice. They had a survey done last week, end of last week. End of the week before last, He wasn't there to take my call today, but we're pushing on them. But the scaffolding's there to hold the building up. I know it's rubbish. Hounslow Highways are involved in some respect. If there's a way that they can, work the traffic lights or get them to run a bit quicker, maybe we can look at that. And happy to go down there with you. I know you walk up there a lot. All right, that was that. Andy at the back there.
Just back to Jersey Gardens. Steph, there is a friends group and actively working on different schemes, as Tony said. The next thing happening very shortly is some picnic benches. I've got to go into the eastern half of Jersey Gardens. So there's always continuing improvements. And I think it's in better shape, but I think that the hedges, you're right, need looking at, Tony. So, but otherwise, we've had quite a lot of good improvements, I think. So, some good work done.
All right, he wasn't planted there. Any other questions to Hounslow Highways? Look, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. You may go. Yeah. Do we have Oksana here? There's Oksana. Hello. Thanks for coming. I've got Oksana Stratton and team on talking about the housing and estate improvements, hopefully focused on the Isleworth and Brentford area forum stock, if you like. And if you can possibly just give us some headlines, and then residents here that may be able to ask them some questions, if that's okay, rather than going through your full presentation. That's okay. You can rush through it.
Well, we'll
Thank
try.
you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for. My name is Oksana Stratton. I'm Housing and Tenancy Service Manager, and I'm having here today with me Ibrahim Zahid, Assistant Service Manager for Housing and Tenancy, and Miguel Ree, Assistant Service Manager for Estate Improvement Program. We also have with us two of our estate improvement officers who work specifically in Isleworth and Brentford, Nathan and Beverly. So I just wanted to pick on something which Councillor Samson spoke a bit earlier in regards all of the councillors from Brentford and Isleworth join our estate improvement offices on the estate inspection. We have around 156 estates within the London Borough of Hounslow, and all of them are attended by the councillors. So thank you for that. We have a small presentation which we will go through it. Ibrahim will start with the housing matters, and then Miguel will follow with the estate improvements.
Look, thank you. And the reason I said that is we've kind of got to be out of here by about 9:30, but we'll give you. I know, there are lots of open forum, but see if you can whistle through it. Thanks.
Afternoon, everybody. Yep, I'll just try to whiz through. So obviously, I'm Ibrahim Zahid. This is Miguel Ree. Myself and Dior, we're the Assistant Service Managers for Housing and Tenancy Services for Isleworth and Brentford. Miguel Ree is the Estate Improvement Assistant Service Manager. Every area obviously will have its own allocated housing and tenancy service officers and estate improvement officers as well. Obviously here, I will just briefly touch on these. These are obviously some of our aims. We want to be visible on our estates and be proactive in engagement with residents, councillors and police and other departments. We want to gather good knowledge of our estates, which includes current issues, future plans for development, antisocial behaviour issues, just so we can, identify the best action plans and strategies. We want to develop on our state intelligence portfolio, which will give us an overview of our residents and their needs and difficulties. And for us, it's about empowering residents and gaining their trust. Housing and tenancy services, I'll just kind of touch on some of the stuff that we do. So we deal with tenancy related matters. So for example, mutual exchanges, assignments, successions, change of circumstances. We work alongside many other different teams, internal and external, such as our tenancy sustainment team, repairs, income and enforcement. Whilst we do work alongside our repairs team, we do encourage residents to report repairs directly to them. If you are having issues, please do come to us, your housing and tenancy officers, and we're happy to assist you as much as we can. Resident engagement, obviously this is some of the current engagement plans we have in place and some of the future plans we have in place. So we do door-to-door conversations, appointments, drop-ins at estate services, forums and workshops, letters, emails and newsletters and updates, and organising mini events and drop-in surgeries. How residents can contact us, there's obviously many ways. We've got email, you can call your housing and tenancy officer directly, your estate improvement officer directly. We also have our customer service line. If you call that line, you can request a 24-hour callback. We have online portals, and you can also see us at our local estate offices. At the moment, we have 6 estate offices open across the borough, open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So if you do have any inquiries and you do want to see us face to face, please do pop down to one of the following offices. I'll now hand over to Miguel Ree. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. So my name is Miguel, and I'm the Assistant Service Manager for the Estate Improvement Team. And I just wanted to go through what some of the aims of our service is. So the Estate Improvement Officer's aims are to uplift and rejuvenate our estates, to coordinate projects with residents and internal departments, and to be the face of improvements for estates and to maintain the standards. The short-term projects for estates to ensure that repairs in communal areas are undertaken, to work with tenants to identify improvements and begin delivering changes to estates. Consult with tenants on ongoing projects and coordinate projects with other teams. To achieve this, there are 8 estate improvement officers across the borough, and we all have different leads that we're working on larger projects to deliver changes on estates. These cover items such as EV charging spaces on our housing land, land reappropriation, sort of changing its current use to better suit our current needs, working on bike storage across the whole borough, waste management improvements, signage, and looking at the need for mobility scooters, possibly in certain areas of the borough. Looking at our play areas and seeing what can be uplifted and which areas need to be prioritised. Block security, door entry systems and other measures to keep residents safe, as well as pathways, fencing and parking. This is just a few local things that have happened in Brentford and Isleworth, such as councillors going out with one of our estate improvement officers to do an extensive litter pick in some of the estates and areas. And we're looking at delivering other projects in terms of memorial gardens, and we literally work on ideas that either residents or other services have put forward or we've identified ourselves. So if you do see us on our estates, please make sure you engage our team. If you have any suggestions, your estate improvement officer's name and number should be on all the housing boards. So if you do have any ideas, feel free to give us a call, discuss any items that you think would improve the nature of the estate, and we'd be very happy to look into these. If you do have any questions, thank you for having the patience to listen to our presentation. We'd be very happy to field them.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim and Miguel. I've got Councillor Marina Sharma, Councillor Lara Parazotto first, and then we'll throw it open.
Hi, thanks, Chair. Thanks for your presentation. It says, how can residents contact us in the presentation? It says about online portals. Can you explain a bit more about that, please, and how our residents can use that, please?
Yeah, so on the Hounslow Council website, you can obviously leave requests, obviously get callbacks or requests for contacts from your local estate improvement officers or housing and tenancy officers on the online portal as well. You can also leave us any kind of feedback or just any general inquiries. It will always get filtered through and come to us.
But also you can request for the tenancy officer to come back in regards to change of circumstances. You want to launch a mutual exchange. Everything is available online and don't necessarily need to use a paper form.
Thank you. Lara.
I'm abusing my question here, but I just want to say thank you. It's been really good working with your team, with Nathan, doing like the litter picks and doing the stage visits. And like I've seen you guys so much, but I just want to say thank you for engaging so well with the residents.
We are very, very happy to work with the residents, councillors and other colleagues and external and internal stakeholders. We obviously have a very good lead cabinet member for housing, Councillor Samson, which helps and support us and the residents mainly in delivering all the plans and projects which have been put in place.
Thank you. Councillor Bowring.
That last slide on Octavia Road, do you know when that's going to be done?
Yeah, I think the work's been put forward, is being agreed, approved, so I believe at the moment we and the ground maintenance are working on it.
Yes, so that's, I think it was Alistair's programme, one of the estate improvement officers for the area. So there's Alistair, Beverly and Nathan. So that's been approved and put forward, so we're just waiting for a date for it to be delivered. So yeah, hopefully it's imminent.
Okay, lovely. And just one from me, from councillor in the ward with just 56 units. Yeah, thank you for the work that you do. I've seen an improvement with the new setup with Will Reeves as the estate improvement officer. Look forward to seeing him next Tuesday. Anybody from the audience? Chap there behind Christine.
Hello. Hi. Basically, my name is Shakir. I'm living in 98A Morris Road. But basically, my problem was I had two-bedroom house. It's like a house. We tried to contract so many times in repair team for some dump in my house. But they came, they do work. And after 6 months, the same thing again came. We just called. Before that, because I have a big cupboard on the wall, and they said I need to take it or remove this thingy. I just removed it. I can't remove it because it's 6 feet high. I just break it and break it, the old thingy. The one after 6 months, the same thing came. I called, and then council, someone sent in my house. The lady came, and she saw everything. Yeah. Then I tell her, because my wife is pregnant now. I don't have near to my bed is so much dump in my flat.
May I? Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I know this is. I'm sorry to hear this. Can someone take your details and
say I'm gonna ask Beverly.
All right. Okay.
She will come.
No. One more thing. No. We try. I don't know what's the question. Because my wife sent me because she's pregnant. I just came now. The thing is, my house is. My son. We living 4 people in my big bed, big rooms.
Sorry,
okay.
I know it's casework. Let me explain to the fella, and someone will take his details. If you, this is something that not everybody needs to hear, or you know, your private stuff. Yes. So someone's going to come down. Beverly's going to come down and talk to you and take your details. Is that no? They'll do that now. She'll do that now. If you can hand the mic back, and we'll move on to the next. Is that okay? Yeah, all right. Otherwise, everybody's going to know what you're doing. I'll start asking you questions. Okay.
No,
All
thank
right.
you.
Cheers, man. Thank you, sir.
We
Thank
will
you.
come back to you.
Yeah. Well, if his details can be taken now, so someone can contact him as soon as possible, that would be good. Christine, do you still have a question? Thank you, sir.
Is it? Oh. You've mentioned about email and how people can contact you. And it always seems to me when I've looked at the website that it's geared to just residents of your properties, whereas someone like me that might want to, and often do, want to contact you about rubbish that's left sort of half in one of your properties, perhaps half on the road, but Hounslow Highways aren't going to take it away. I've always found it difficult how to contact you. Are you saying that the website's recently been updated and made that easier for people that don't actually live in one of your properties?
Thank you. If you can explain the quickly how people can report, non-residents can report things. I've reported stuff on in neighbourhoods before.
You could contact us by dialing our call center number, which is 0208 583 4000, and someone can put you through to the relevant department. If you wanted to report something on our estate, then you can contact our estate improvement officer for that particular estate, which will look into the matter, report it, and come back and address it accordingly. So probably Miguel will get the details, which estate, if there is any issues, and then the relevant officer will contact you. It is on the website.
Can someone, if someone can take Christine's email, and then you can send her the link. It is on the website apparently.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think it is because it's been confirmed by a few people. Okay. Look, thank you very much. Any more questions? Look, thank you, Oksana, gentlemen, for coming and. The slides are on the agenda as well if anybody wants to see them, but and your contact details are on the agenda. Thank you very much. All right. Right. Sorry to have kept the petitioners. Got petitions update item 6. George Andreos, request for installation of barriers at Stags Way and Braybourne Drive, White Gardens Estate, Osserley. Do you want to come down at the, or do you want to speak from there? It's up to you. And we did meet recently, but if you want to, since your petition, we met with the leader and other residents. But by all means, you're very welcome. And there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. As you've seen our petition, and thank you for submitting it to the council at the budget meeting. And thank you for arranging the meeting with the leader and many officers at the council. The meeting has been very productive so far, and I appreciate you guys listening to us, but we haven't had any feedback from the meeting. And that's what we particularly hear and would like to hear from you to see what progress has been made on all the issues we have raised so far.
Okay, thank you. I suppose I can answer. So Councillor Siddiqui arranged one meeting, and we segued onto the second meeting regarding your petition, which we had there with the leader of the council, people from community safety, people from the traffic team. There were a number of ideas that were the number of ideas and suggestions that came up there. I'm expecting, or councillors are expecting responses from from that meeting, and we will share them with you, and we will meet with you again if that's okay. It's kind of a complex case. What with what with parking from the local schools there, people using I'm not going to give the name of the road because otherwise other people will turn up there to dog. There's plenty and the other antisocial behaviour going on there. Nick cars or dumped car number plates and similar. So it is, even though it is the very nice, the leafy Osterley, things go on there as well. So we will keep in touch on this. But it just came on the agenda. It was sort of kind of published and prepared before that meeting. So if you can trust us to come back to you on that. Is that all right?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being so understanding. Next one, the Area Forum Action Plan is. We all know our action plan. We've updated that as councillors. Has anybody got any questions on the Area Forum Action Plan? Good. All right. Excellent. Thank you very much. By all means, come back to us if you do individually. Item 8, minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of November and matters arising. Any comments on that? Everybody, someone want to move approval? Thank you, Councillor Sampson, and seconded by Councillor Parazotto. Thank you very much. I've not been informed of any urgent business, so that's good. Can only be good. And the date of the next scheduled meeting is Thursday, the 6th of July, and that will be confirmed. Look, thank you very much for coming. I think Councillor Bowring counted 60 attendees here, and there were more downstairs beforehand. And thank you very much to West Thames College for setting this up and having a good meeting. I think we'll do it again here sometime, and if they let us. Thank you, Gary and Yag, our comms people there, for filming this. It will go out tomorrow, hopefully on YouTube. Thank you for our officers from community development, and obviously yourselves. It's nice to see some people out. I mean, this is our local in my ward, mine and Councillor Chowdhury's and Councillor Siddiqui's ward. But it's nice to see some faces here that we haven't seen for a couple of years, that are out they're out and about and having and coming to a meeting after lockdowns. It is I'm quite I'm quite chuffed that they've come tonight and quite touched at this. Nice to see people. I know there's a few people that will no longer come to these things, but it was really good to see you all tonight, or wherever you came from. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.